Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Sorin Space. When institutional standards ignore human variability, inequality emerges not from intent, but from design. This is not a moral critique. It is a structural diagnosis. Most governance systems assume neutrality through uniformity. If the same rules apply to everyone, the system is assumed to be neutral. This assumption is analytically flawed because neutrality of rules does not imply neutrality of outcomes when human variance is structurally ignored. 1. Human variability is not marginal, it is foundational. Human populations are not homogeneous. Decades of research across neuroscience, psychology, and behavioral economics demonstrate stable inter-individual differences in attentional regulation, impulse control, reward sensitivity, circadian and energy patterns, learning modality preference, risk perception, and stress response. These differences are not anomalies. They are partially genetic, partially developmental, and partially shaped by long-term cultural environments. They are persistent, measurable, and predictable. Any system that assumes a standard human profile is therefore modeling an abstraction, not a population. 2. Uniform standards produce predictable exclusion. When a single behavioral or cognitive standard is applied across a heterogeneous population, systematic mismatch becomes inevitable. This mismatch manifests as performance concentration gaps across specific groups, repeated non-compliance by similar cognitive or behavioral profiles, and overrepresentation of certain traits in disciplinary statistics. These outcomes are often interpreted as lack of effort, lack of discipline, or lack of moral responsibility. From a systems perspective, this interpretation is incorrect. Repeated failure clustered around identifiable human traits is a design incompatibility signal, not a character defect. 3. Moral attribution masks structural design. Failure. Moral attribution refers to the systemic practice of converting structural failure into individual character judgment. Institutions rarely interpret systemic failure as a modeling problem. Instead, they perform moral attribution. Individuals are blamed for outcomes that were structurally induced. This has 3 effects. Institutional self-protection. The system avoids redesign by framing outcomes as personal responsibility. Policy stagnation. Structural causes remain unexamined because enforcement appears to function. Social stratification. Certain cognitive and behavioral profiles become persistently disadvantaged. This is how structural inequality reproduces itself without explicit discrimination. 4. Equality of rules is not equality of impact. Applying identical standards to unequal starting conditions does not create fairness. It creates statistical legitimacy for unequal outcomes. From a governance perspective, fairness must be evaluated at the level of outcome distributions, harm concentration, and opportunity accessibility, not merely rule symmetry. Uniform pressure on heterogeneous systems is a known failure mode in engineering. Human institutions are no exception. 5. Toward fit-aware institutional design. The policy implication is not deregulation. It is model refinement. Advanced governance does not abandon standards. It differentiates pathways. Key principles include harm prevention targets, actual risk and damage, behavioral conformity targets, norm deviation. These are distinct evaluation dimensions, yet institutions routinely conflate them. Evaluation should prioritize risk and impact, not norm adherence. Multiple functional compliance models should be permitted. This approach does not reduce accountability. It increases precision. Thank you.